I will die in 54 years, 5 months and 18 days. My death will occur at 11 p.m. Imagine, Mr. Abel, that something like this would suddenly become known to you. How would you feel then? So I was shocked too, and everything happened as usual, as it had already happened to me. About 2 hours before dawn, I woke up and couldn't sleep for a long time, and then the whole world seemed to disappear. It was as if I was left alone in an echoing void. And that's when the future was revealed to me, as if I were the only spectator in a deserted cinema. I was looking at the screen, but they weren't showing the movie, they were showing my life. When I woke up, my heart was pounding loudly and my face was sticky with sweat. I collapsed back onto my bunk, exhausted. Wild fear surged and receded. What should I be afraid of? That I'm going to die half a century later? Am I immortal? Or did he not know that people tend to age, often falling short of their 70s? On the contrary, I should be happy for such a long time. That means I won't die of cancer at the age of 30, I won't be killed, a car won't run over me. I'll quietly pass away. Or maybe death is not the end at all, but the beginning. This is how 20-year-old Wolf Messing reasoned in a letter addressed to the famous Berlin neuropathologist Professor Franz Abel, who found out that Messing has unique abilities. This happened when Wolf was just 12 years old, and he was trying to survive in Berlin alone. In rare letters and diary entries, Wolf Messing shared his thoughts about the infinity of human life, about faith in God, and about what made him turn away from him and believe again. Wolf Messing recalled that his parents were very pious and raised their 3 sons to be God-fearing. As a child, the boy imagined God to be harsh, demanding, but fair. Of course, I grew up a pious child, and when I was 9 years old, the rabbi advised my father to send me to an educational institution that trained spiritual ministers. My parents were completely satisfied with this plan, but not me. I flatly refused this idea. My parents argued with me, but then the argument subsided. And just at that time, a miracle happened to me, which I believed in for a long time, recalled Wolf Messing. And that's what happened. Late in the evening, Messing's father sent his son to the store. When the boy returned home after completing this assignment, he saw a huge white figure on the porch of his house in the dark. Little Messing took him for a messenger. The messenger loudly said, "I have been sent to you from above to tell you that your life should be devoted to service. God is waiting for your prayers." Wolf Messing was so impressed by what he saw that he immediately fainted. When the boy opened his eyes, he saw his parents, who were anxiously looking at him. Messing told about everything he had experienced. After that, his father asked sternly, "So do you agree to follow the Lord's instructions and become a rabbi?" Impressed by the heavenly revelation and against his will, Wolf entered yeshivot, a school that trained ministers for synagogues. Maybe the world would have received Rabbi Messing someday, but 2 years later, the boy accidentally saw a tall, bearded man on the street. And immediately I recognized him as that messenger. He turned out to be an ordinary person. Messing's father paid him to play the role of a messenger and convince his son to devote himself to the church. Much later, Messing recalled how humiliated and insulted he felt then. It turns out that my father deceived me. If my closest person is capable of such a thing, then who can I trust? So everything I've been taught is also a hoax. Therefore, there is no God. How could he allow all this if he is so honest and fair? He just doesn't exist, and everything that is told about him in the Talmud is a complete fiction. And the boy immediately decided to run away from the hated school. However, the young man's pockets were empty, as was his stomach. The fugitive was going to solve the first problem by breaking a mug into which believers threw their donations. But there was too little money there, only 18 pennies. But this could not embarrass Wolf. He was determined to leave his native Polish town of Góra Kalwaria for any place on earth, as long as they could not find him there and bring him back. I was going on a long journey with the words, "If there is no God, then everything is possible now." Then I went to the railway station. When I saw someone's field on the way, I dug up potatoes, lit a fire off the road, and baked potatoes in the coals. After I had eaten, I went to the station and boarded the first train I saw. He was on his way to Berlin, Messing recalled. Since the boy did not have enough money for a ticket, he got into the carriage and climbed under the bench. The train started moving. Shortly after, the door of the carriage opened, and what Wolf Messing was so afraid of happened. The conductor entered the carriage. He looked under the bench and said, "Young man, your ticket." I grabbed a piece of newspaper from the floor and handed it to the conductor. With all the strength of my mind, I wanted him to mistake this dirty piece of paper for a travel document. A few moments later, the ticket was punched. The conductor looked at me and asked, "Why are you driving with a ticket under the bench?" That's how my ability to inspire first manifested itself. In Berlin, the boy finds a job as a messenger, but his salary was not even enough for food. But he had to work from early morning until late at night, and one day he lost consciousness right on the street. It was a hungry collapse, after which the boy was taken to the hospital. The doctors decided that he was dead, so Messing's body was transported to the morgue, where he stayed for 3 days. One of the vigilant interns noticed that Wolf was alive and reported it to the doctor. The teenager was transferred from the morgue to a hospital room, and a doctor examined him. The words were clearly imprinted in the unconscious child's head. "We should report it to the police and then find a shelter for the boy." The boy regained consciousness, opened his eyes, and saw a man in a white coat sitting on the edge of the bed. The doctor, who was the famous neurologist Abel in those years, felt the pulse on his arm. In a weak voice, Wolf asked not to inform the police and not to send him to a shelter. The professor was surprised. "Did he say that?" "But that's what you thought," Messing replied. This is how his telepathic abilities were discovered. Soon, Abel took Wolf as an apprentice, taught him the ability to control his body, read and inspire thoughts. Now he could perfectly understand what his interlocutor was thinking, especially when he touched him with his hand. He managed to learn how to control the pain in his own body. He just turned them off. Abel never tired of telling Messing to practice developing his abilities every day and not let them go to waste. Wolf Messing recalled that to do this, he walked around the bazaar every day and tried to read the minds of the saleswomen, surprising them with his gift. Sigmund Freud, who was familiar with Messing, wrote in one of his letters, "Messing himself is convinced that his gift is from God. He calls it God's grace." It was in Berlin that Wolf Messing came to believe in the existence of the Creator again, but now he seemed completely different. The seer informed his patron Abel about this. "You asked me if I believe in God? To be honest, I don't believe in the images of the Creator that are created in religions. I just know it's there. But he is not at all the way he is painted on canvases. It cannot be known or imagined, just as it is impossible to see the whole earth at once." Already at a more mature age, Wolf Messing changed his attitude towards his abilities. Now he considered his gift not a grace, but a punishment, a heavy burden. He's used to everyone wanting to know the future. At the same time, he did not think at all that he was so lucky that he himself knew. Messing treated his superpowers with great respect, but also with some horror, and I didn't feel lucky at all. On the contrary, he considered his gift a heavy burden. Wolf Messing himself said, "None of my abilities gives any special advantages, unless, of course, their owner is an honest person and is not going to use his skills for personal gain, deception, crimes. But even in this case, he will not succeed because he will be discovered and punished. So don't be jealous." His assistant, Valentina Ivanovskaya, explained that Messing had no children for the same reason, and all because he was afraid that his gift would be inherited. Messing did not want his children to repeat their fate. His abilities were tested by journalists, scientists, and ordinary viewers. Many of the episodes of his predictions were recorded and then confirmed. Tired of endlessly answering the same questions, Wolf wrote in his autobiography, "Don't ask me how I do it. To be honest, I don't know myself. Just like I don't know the mechanism of telepathy. Telepathy is just using the laws of nature. At first, I enter a state of complete relaxation, which makes me feel energized and more receptive. Then everything is simple. I can perceive any thoughts. If I touch a person who is sending a thought order, it is easier for me to concentrate on the transmission and isolate it from all the other noises that I hear. However, constant direct contact is not necessary at all. I can say this. Usually, when I am asked a specific question about the fate of a particular person, about whether this or that event will happen, I have to think stubbornly, asking myself, will it happen or not? And after a while, the conviction arises, yes, it will happen, or no, it won't happen. Messing claimed that he perceives other people's thoughts in the form of images. He sees the place and the actions he had to perform. According to Messing, the clarity of a transmission depends on the ability of the person sending it to concentrate. He claimed that it was easiest to read the minds of the deaf and dumb, perhaps because they thought more figuratively than other people. Sometimes he saw, sometimes heard, or simply accepted a thought, an image, a picture, but the process itself remained a mystery. The only thing the experts were convinced of was that he had a phenomenal gift that had nothing to do with clever tricks or quackery, but the scientists could not give a theoretical justification. Wolf Messing was married only once. His life partner was Ida Rappaport. They met in 1944. At that time, Messing was 45, Rappaport was a little younger. A woman knocked on the psychic's dressing room and said that his assistant was not very suitable for him. Messing later recalled that he did not turn on his abilities when he opened the door. Just his hand reached for the handle on its own. When he saw Ida, he immediately realized that this was fate. The master of hypnosis lost his family early. Rappaport replaced everyone for him, his wife, his mother, and his assistant. The couple did not part for a minute. Ida became the organizer of all his meetings, established a way of life in the house. During the performances, she passed notes to the audience. Later, it was assumed that Rappaport was a medium, a link between the soothsayer and the audience. The woman admitted that she had never been afraid of becoming a victim of her husband's hypnosis. She said that she did not keep bad thoughts, so she had absolutely nothing to fear. After 16 years of living together, their happiness, alas, ended. Ada was diagnosed with cancer. The woman refused treatment, and Messing knew that there was no hope. She was a domineering woman, but Messing loved her so much that he fulfilled her every wish. And when she got sick, he fed her with a spoon. The doctors said, "We will try to save Ida Mikhailovna." But Messing abruptly cut them off. "There's no need to comfort me. I know the day and hour when she will die." That was the hardest thing for him, knowing the future when it was impossible to change anything. By burying his beloved wife, Messing put an end to his personal life. For all the 14 years that he lived after Ida, he remained faithful to her. "And if I wasn't on tour, I went to her grave every day." He'll say, "I'm going to talk to Ida," and disappear for about 6 hours. In the summer, I even rented a cottage next to the cemetery so as not to waste time on the road. I missed my wife madly. In the letter with which we began our story today, Messing said that he still had 54 long years of life ahead of him. But that time passed too quickly for him. He was also able to predict his death. He went to the hospital for an ordinary operation. It would seem that everything should end well. But the seer said goodbye to everyone in advance. He knew he wouldn't be coming back from the hospital. Messing's surgery was surprisingly successful, and the doctors breathed a sigh of relief. No one can still figure out why a few days later a pulmonary collapse occurred, and then healthy kidneys failed. At the same time, his pulse was steady and his sleep was calm. On November 8, 1974, Wolf Messing died. On the day of his departure, Messing wrote to his assistant Valentina Ivanovskaya that he was burdened by the sad knowledge of his death. In the same letter, the seer also expressed confidence that he would meet his deceased wife and his life would continue. "I will be gone today. I know that for sure. It will be over in 4 hours. I want to run away from this. I want to believe that they will save me. But I have my sad knowledge, which I am already used to. Do not believe anyone who says that he is tired of earthly life. She can't get bored. But I'll be gone soon. Goodbye, Valentina, and hello, Ida." Messing claimed that the future was explained to him in the form of an image. "The mechanism of direct knowledge allows me to bypass normal, logical reasoning. As a result, I immediately see the last link that appears in the future. The time will come when anyone will embrace with their consciousness everything that is considered mysticism today. There are no incomprehensible things. There are only those that are not obvious to us at the moment." What do you think about the afterlife? Where do you think we will end up after physical death? Do you believe in life after death? Write your opinion in the comments. If you want to learn more about life after death, then I recommend watching my other videos. Please don't forget to like this video if you liked it. See you soon.